Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to see the another topic under the Sale of Goods Act 1930. So in this topic we are going to see the chapter 4. This is the last chapter of the act. Okay. So what is the chapter? The chapter is rights of unpaid seller. So what is the unpaid seller and what are his rights? Means before going directly into the rights of the unpaid seller, we'll go with the definition or the introduction of the topic. So the introduction of the topic is first we have to know the meaning of the unpaid seller. Okay, so who is the unpaid seller? Okay, so here unpaid seller means the seller who has not received, see, the seller who has not received the price of the goods is called as the unpaid seller. Okay, this is so according to the section 45, the unpaid seller has been defined in two types. That is when the whole of the price has not been paid or tendered, when a bill of exchange or other goods negotiable instrument has been received as a conditional payment and the same has been dishonored. That means simply here first understand the concept here. Unpaid seller, the name only indicating, right? Unpaid means who is not paid fully, unpaid means half paid. So the seller who is half paid or partly paid, or who has not at all received the amount of the goods for whatever the goods he sold to the buyer, then he is called as an unpaid seller. So so under section 45, okay, the seller who has not received the price or the money for whatever the goods he sold to the buyer, or he received only the half of the amount of the goods for what he haven't sold to the buyer, is called as an unpaid seller. And according to the section 45 is been here, see, when the whole of the price or not has been paid or tendered, means not at all said, or the whole price is not paid by the buyer, then he is called as an unpaid seller. This is the first case according to the section 45 of the act. And next second case is when the bill of exchange or other negotiable instrument has been received as a conditional payment. So this bill of exchange or any other instrument, these are called as the negotiable instrument. This bill of exchange is a negotiable instrument, right? If the buyer, instead of receiving the money, he received the bill of exchange, okay, instead of money, if he received the bill of exchange, then it is called as the conditional payment. Okay, so it is called as a conditional payment because after receiving the bill of exchange, here the buyer has given a conditional payment. That means there is a condition. The buyer is saying that on the date of the maturity the bill will be honored. That means on the date of maturity, the seller can discount this bill of exchange by going to the bank. Okay, like that is a condition. On the date of maturity, this bill, whatever this bill has been drawn on the buyer, will be discounted by the seller by going to the bank. Okay, so this is a condition. This is a condition by giving this negotiable instrument. If that negotiable instrument is dishonored, that means after drawing this bill of exchange, if buyer is not in a position, that means after going to the bank, if seller does not receive the amount, that is the price of the bill of exchange, then that will be regarded as the dishonored. Okay, so for example, if you given a check to a person, instead of the money, if you given a check to a person for whom you have to pay, after going but in your bank account there is no money, then the person who has received the check, if he goes to bank, he cannot get the money because in your account there is no money, then the check will become a dishonored, right? So check or the bill of exchange are the negotiable instruments which are also called as a conditional payments. Means what is the condition here? On the date of the maturity, these checks or the all bills will be honored. This is a condition, but this condition is dishonored. Okay, if this condition is dishonored, then the seller will become the unpaid seller. Okay, so these are the two conditions. So this is the meaning of the unpaid seller. I think you have been cleared with this topic or this introduction. Okay, so if the seller is suffering with this, if he did not at all received the price for the good, or he half received the price for the goods, or he not at all or he does not means whatever the bill is drawn, or whatever the check is given by the buyer is being dishonored, if that bills are being dishonored, then what are the rights will the seller, the unpaid seller who has not received the price for his goods, that rights we are going to study under this rights of unpaid seller. Okay, so what are the rights of unpaid seller? The rights of the unpaid seller has been divided into two categories. Okay, so when the rights against the goods and the rights against the buyer. Goods means the seller will have the rights against the goods. Here the seller will have the right against the buyer. So these are the two categories of the rights of the unpaid seller. First we will go with the rights of the goods, rights against the goods. Under these rights against the goods, there are the four parts, that is right of the lien, right of stoppage of the goods in transit, right of resale, right of withholding the delivery. So first one is right of lien. Lien here means, see, under the rights against the goods, okay, remember this, rights against the goods means whatever the rights he is using, means whatever the unpaid seller has been having against only the goods, we are discussing under the goods case. So first one is first one before the right of the lien. Before going into the right of the lien, we'll go with a simple example, a simple explanation here. When the property in the goods has not been transferred, okay, so the property, see here, the property, when the property in the goods has been transferred to the, that means the seller and the buyer came into an agreement, and the seller has transferred the ownership. Property here means ownership of the goods. Okay, after transferring the ownership of the goods means after transferring the ownership, not the goods, after transferring the ownership in the goods, that means in the agreement the seller says that the seller and the buyer will come into an agreement. See here, if A sells to B, if A sells to B, means here they are agreeing upon the, they are agreeing to A is agreeing to sell and B is agreeing to pay the amount, and A will transfer the ownership to the B. So this is the example here. After transferring the ownership in the goods, if after transferring the ownership in the goods, if the seller has the goods with him, that means if he retains the possession, right of lien here means right to retain the possession of the goods until the payment of the price. Here ownership transfers, but the goods will be held with only the this seller. If the goods, suppose you have sold some goods to the, you have entered into an agreement with some other candidate, and you have been agreed and you transfer the ownership of the goods, but the goods has been there only with you. You said that after completion of the complete payment I will give the goods to you, like this you said to another person with whom you have entered into an agreement. Okay, but the person the person to whom you have transferred the ownership, if he refuses to pay, then you will have the right against the goods, because you have the goods with you, right? You have the possession of the goods. Here right of lien means a possession, you are having the, or you are retaining with the possession of the goods. In that case you can say to that in that case you can say to that buyer that until you pay the payment of the price, full payment of the price, I won't give this goods to you. Like that you can have the right against the goods. That is called as the first one, right of lien. And the unpaid seller, when this unpaid seller can exercise this right of lien means two conditions have been defined given here, where the goods have been sold without any stipulation as to credit. That means without any stipulation, if you have sold the goods, in that case also, okay, where the goods have been sold without any stipulation as to credit, in that case you can use this right of lien. And second case is sold on credit. So whenever the goods have been sold, for example, you sold goods that without paying the money, credit means without paying the money, you are giving a chance to pay the money in future. That is called as a credit, right? So whenever you sold the goods on the credit, but you will say that suppose you sold the goods on the 20th of this month, you given the credit period for the next month, February 15th. Like this, you given the credit period for the buyer. In that credit period only, the buyer has to pay the payment. If he refuses to pay the credit period, after writing the credit period, he has to pay in that period only, right? But if he refuses to pay in that period, you can exercise this right of lien, because goods are having with you. Okay, so this is one of the case. And another case is that when the buyer becomes the insolvent here means he has lost everything, and the official assignees has been received his property. Okay, so when the buyer becomes the insolvent, you can also exercise this right of lien. So these are the three cases where you can exercise this right of lien, and this is the meaning of the right of lien. And next right is right of the stoppage of the goods in the transit. So the title only saying here right of the stoppage of the goods in the transit, that means extension of to right of the lien. So extension to the right of lien. So this is also against the goods only, right? Under the goods, this is also one type, this is another type. Okay, and this is a extension of the right of the lien. You exercising this right also on the goods only, right? That's why this has been become the extension to the right of the lien. Stoppage in the transit. Stoppage in the transit, the title only indicating, you can remember this easily. Okay, stoppage of the goods in the transit means whenever you agreed, and you both buyer and seller has been agreed, and you also transfer the goods to the, you are in the process of transportation. Okay, you transported the goods to the buyer from, you are in, suppose you are in Mumbai, you want to transfer the goods to the Hyderabad. So this time whatever there is called as a transportation time, right? So in this transportation, if you stopped the, after reaching some place in between, you stopped the goods for the goods to reach to the buyer, means you stopped the goods before reaching the buyer, is called as a right of stoppage of the goods in transit. Means in between the transportation, if you stopped the goods to reach to the buyer, then it is called as the right of stoppage of the goods in transit. That means here why you are stopping here, because of the unpaid seller, you have become the unpaid seller. Unpaid seller, you have become the unpaid seller, means you are not getting the, or the buyer is refusing to pay you the full amount. Then the goods are already, you transported the goods, but the buyer is refusing, then you can stop the goods in between the transportation also. So this is called as the right of the stoppage of the goods in the transit. Okay, so the here what are the conditions here? The seller must be unpaid, the seller must have the rights with the possession of the goods. Okay, the goods, you have to have the control over these goods. Okay, and the goods must be in course of the transit. To exercise this right, the goods must be in course of the transit, means in the process of the transportation. Okay, the buyer must be become the insolvent. So same condition, the buyer also here also must become the insolvent. If he became the insolvent, he cannot pay money to you, right? That's why you can stop the goods in the transportation, and you can sold it to the another buyer who is interested in your goods. That's why this also one of the condition. And next one is the property in the goods must have passes from the seller to the buyer. See, the property here means ownership. You have agreed and passed the ownership to the buyer, but the goods are remaining with you. Then in that condition, you can use this right. Okay, two rights have been completed. Next one is right of the resale. So whenever the goods are retaining with you, or okay, whenever the goods are having with you in your control, you can also exercise another right, that is right of resale. What is right of resale? The title only saying resale means you can again sell that goods. After selling it to the buyer, you came into an agreement to sell these goods to the buyer, but if a buyer refuses to pay you the amount, you will get the right of resale. After paying to the buyer, if he refuses to pay you the price, you can sell these goods to the another seller also. Okay, sorry, another buyer who is interested in your goods. So here resale means resale can exercise the right of the resale in the following cases. So these are the cases where you can exercise this right. First one is where the goods are in perishable nature. Perishable nature means, for example, you came into an agreement with some B. You are A and you came into an agreement with B, but due to some due to the, what is the agreement here? You came into agreement with the, take here, A came into agreement with B, and A says that I will sell you the 20 liters of milk on Friday, or someday. Okay, but this B refuses to pay you the price. Okay, but if he refuses to pay you the price, you cannot wait for him to pay you the price, because the milk, what the subject matter here is, what are the goods? Goods is a milk here, right? Milk cannot be stored after 1 day is a milk life, 1 or 1.5 day. After that you cannot store the milk more than 1.5 day, right? So because of that nature of that particular good, if he refuses to pay, in that case you can sell this milk to the another candidate who are interested. Okay, if the goods in perishable nature means which can be destroyed, or which can lose its mercantile value, or which cannot be that means wholesomeness means which lost its value to use. Okay, in that case, if the goods are in that perishable nature, you can sold it to the another buyer. Okay, so this is another one case. And where the seller expressively reserves the right of the resale in case of the buyer makes the default. Where the seller says that, expressively means saying, by words he says that I will resell the, or I will exercise my right of resale if you makes any default. If a seller said like this, he can also resell the goods. So here one condition is there. Remember, seller bound to give the notice to the resale of the goods. So the seller cannot directly sell this goods, because he entered into an agreement with B, right? Even he refuses to pay, he has to give the notice to the B, because he is also however they are legally related, right? That's why he has to give a notice to the B, okay, before selling to the another buyer. Okay, and in case of the perishable nature goods, he cannot see. It is not necessary in case of the perishable goods. It is not necessary to give the notice in case of the perishable goods. After giving the notice, the buyer who buys the goods resell gets the title whether the seller has given or not given any notice to the original purchaser of his intention to resell the goods. So even this seller, so it is a seller's duty to give the notice to the buyer in case of the resale. But even if this seller gives notice or does not give, he sold. Even if he gives the notice, it is okay. Even if he does not give the notice to the B, if he sold that goods to the C, then C will get the clear title only. Okay, even he is having the legal relationship between these both, he is not bothered about that. Even if he gives notice or not gives notice to the B, if he sold the goods to the C, he will get the clear ownership of the goods, because he is an innocent person. Without knowing this agreement, or knowing or unknowingly he enters into this agreement with the E, so he has to get the clear title, and he will get the clear title. Okay, this is the right of resale. Another right is right of withholding the delivery. Withholding the delivery means we will stop the delivery of the goods. Okay, this is also extension of the ROL. ROL means right of the lien and right of stoppage of the transit. So, okay, and where the property in the goods has not passed to the buyer personally. So whenever the ownership of the goods not transferred, whenever there is a ownership of the goods is not transferred personally to the buyer, in that case the right of withholding delivery of the goods, which are the subject matter of the contract, can be done. So this is another right. Withholding means we are holding the delivery whenever the ownership is not transferred personally to the buyer. In that case you can exercise this right. And so these are the four cases against, these are the rights against the goods. And next important one is BBTs. This is another right. This is right against the buyer personally, means the seller, the unpaid seller who has not received the full price, then he will has the right against the buyer. Here against the goods, right? Here against the buyer only. Okay, so in that case first one is suit for the price. Suit for the price means right against the buyer means he can target the buyer. Okay, so in that first case is right for the suit for the price. So where the property in the goods has passed to the buyer, and when buyer refuses to pay price. So whenever the buyer refuses to pay the price, the seller will have the right to claim for the price. He can claim, he can go to case and file a suit against the buyer for getting the whatever the goods is sold to the buyer. For that, whatever the price is there, he can get that price, get that money by filing a suit against the buyer. So this is a right against the buyer personally for the price. Okay, and next one is here suit for the damages. Damages here means when the buyer refuses to pay for the goods, the seller can sue him for the damages of for non acceptance. Okay, here after selling the goods, when the buyer neglects or he refuses to pay the price, or he refuses to accept to pay the price for the goods, in that non acceptance case he can claim for the damages. Who seller can claim for the damages. So this is another important one. And next one is suit for the repudiation. Repudiation here means cancellation. The meaning of the repudiation is cancellation. So where the buyer repudiates a contract before the date of DOD here means date of delivery. So before the date of delivery, if the buyer cancels the contract, in that case the seller has to wait for the DOD, that means date of date of delivery. Means for the up to the date of the delivery, the buyer will have the chance. So up to the date of delivery, the seller will have to wait, and after that, if the buyer says that the contract has been repudiated, if the buyer intentionally cancels the contract, then after the date of delivery, then the contract can be treated as the, means up to the date of delivery the buyer is given the chance. Okay, after that date of delivery, the seller will treat the contract as cancelled, even there is no response for the buyer. Even if the seller did not get any response from the buyer, then the seller can treat the contract as contract as cancelled, and he can sue for the damages. Because if he does not enter into contract with the buyer, he can sold the goods to the another buyer, right? That's why he has suffered some damages. So for the damages he can claim the, he can go for the court, and he can sue for the repudiation. Okay, and next one is suit for the interest. So when the payment becomes due, uh, so here there is an agreement between the seller and the buyer. So here actually there will be a special agreement between the buyer and the seller as to interest on the price of the goods. That means there will be an agreement between the buyer and the seller. The seller may claim it, what interest, the seller may claim the interest from the date when the payment becomes the due. So when the payment becomes the due, from that date the seller can claim the interest. Okay, so for example, if there is no agreement, no specific agreement, the interest is payable from the date, notified date. From the notified date means that simply here on the price, the buyer has to pay the interest to the seller on the special agreement whatever they are created. Here there will be a special agreement, but if there is no any special agreement, then whatever the notified date will be there, no, from the date he has to pay the interest. So this is a suit for the interest. If he does not pay the interest, then there is a agreement, there is a special agreement between these parties. But if the buyer refuses to pay that interest, then the seller can go for the court and file a suit for the interest. So these are the rights. So this is the meaning of the unpaid seller and rights, that is the right against the goods and right against the buyer, right of lien, stoppage of goods, right of resale, right of withdrawal of delivery, withholding delivery, and suit for the price, suit for the damage, suit for the reparation, suit for the interest. So I think you got a clear sense of this topic, and it is very easy. Please understand the topic. Okay, so hope you friends this topic have been very cleared, and thank you for listening this topic. And if you like this video, like, share and subscribe to our channel Conceptual Learning. Thank you.